And that's all the tips and tricks, how to shrink a initial box so it actually fits in where the lead paint, where they're supposed to sign, how to upload documents, how to add more folders inside your loop, so that's that third section, which I absolutely love. Everybody can use the chat if you have a question, because I do stop between the three sections and ask questions. And you can always type in your question as we go, and I'll try to address it as we go. So let's start. It's 12:30 now. So this is where you're going to go. You just go to dotloop.com and you're going to hit the sign in button. You're going to put in the email address we assigned with you, and you're going to continue. Okay. Now this is your dashboard page. Okay. So this is what it looks like once you actually log into Dotloop. Now I'm going to go to my training. This is my office one. So I want to go to my training one right here. So this is how you know that you're in the brokerage account. Over here on the left-hand side, it's going to say premium. If it ever asks you for money, or if it ever says you have trial loops or temporary loops available, you're not in the correct account. You want to be in the premium account, because that's the account that has all the bells and whistles. That's the one that Stacy's paying for you. That's the one that has all of the interactive real estate forms for you. So we are going to start by setting up your loop for success. So it's 3 steps, 3 very basic steps. Number 1, you're going to create the loop. Number 2, you're going to add the people along with their roles. And number 3, you're going to fill in the paperwork and then share it with your clients. That's it. 3 basic steps, and you will have set up your loop for success. So what we're going to do here, just want also know that 90% of everything you're going to do in Dotloop is going to be on the right-hand side. Also, anything that's blue is an interactive field. So just get used to playing around with it. You can't really ruin anything. So again, on the right-hand side, you're going to see add a loop. And now you're going to put in the property address. If you're a listing agent, you're going to know the property address. If you're a buyer agent, you're going to create your loop with your buyer's name and then change it later on, because in order to submit a loop for review, we do like all loops submitted by street address. So for this training purpose, I'm going to pretend I'm a buyer agent. We don't know the street that they're going to buy. So right now, I'm just going to put Mr. and Mrs. John Smith. Okay. And then you're going to hit, again, blue interactive field on the right-hand side. And now you're in step 2, which is pick a template. Basically, what Dotloop is asking you, what type of agent are you going to be servicing the Smith? So if you hit this down arrow, you're going to see we have, are you going to be represent a Massachusetts listing? That's not what we're doing for this training purposes. Massachusetts buyer. That's the one we're going to pick. But I just want you to know we have templates in here for rentals. We have, this is if you represent the landlord. This one here is if you represent the tenant. We also have commercial templates, all for Massachusetts. And there is a scroll down button. So if you scroll down, you're going to see we have New Hampshire listing, New Hampshire buyer, New Hampshire rental. We have Maine listing, Maine buyer, Rhode Island listings. Jessica, you do Rhode Island. Rhode Island listings, Rhode Island buyers. We have Connecticut listings, Connecticut buyers, Florida listings, and Florida buyer. So you're going to pick the one, because what this is going to do is it's going to put in the paperwork that you need. So obviously, if we're going to pick a buyer template, it's not going to give us a purchase and sale. The buyer agent does not fill out the purchase and sale. The listing agent does. So it's very important that you do and pick the correct one. Now, if I try to continue without picking a loop, it's going to give me this warning. It says you must select a loop. Again, this is because it's going to put inside your loop all the proper paperwork that you need. So we do ask that you pick one. So we ask, again, we're going to pick that we're a buyer agent in this one. Now, and then you're going to hit continue. You can upload a picture of the photo. You can upload your picture. You just click on it. You go to pictures where you have your snapshot. I'll just put in a lion. Okay. If it was a house, it would be better. Okay. So you can, doesn't have the greatest picture there. But you can delete the photo. I like this because it's easy when you're a listing agent and you want to upload a picture of the house. It looks actually very nice. Let me see here if I have one of a house. I'm looking for one. I do not have one of a house. So let me see. Nope, I got rid of all my pictures. So we'll just cancel. But then you're going to hit done. And so what this is doing now is if you've been in real estate any length of time, you used to go to the office and you used to get a manila folder and used to write your client's name on the outside of it or the street address. And that's what this is right now. So you're looking at the folder closed. Okay. But remember, anything that's blue is interactive. So you want to do this. This is a pre-offer because we're setting it up as a buyer agent. We don't have our offer yet. We don't have the price either, but what you want to do is on the right-hand side, again, it's blue interactive. You're going to view the loop, which basically what that means is you're opening up the manila folder or the loop, and you're going to see now all of the paperwork that's inside this loop. So now we have it open and we can see all the paperwork that's required. Okay, now we said that we were doing a buyer in Massachusetts. So these are required in Massachusetts. Mandatory agency licensing and offer is required by the state. The affiliated business arrangement disclosure, this is new, that's required by LAIR. So we've made that required. So step one is set up the loop, open up the loop. Step two was to add the people. So if you scroll down here, use the scroll, you're going to go all the way down to the people section right here. And I do ask that you do not skip this step. This is a vital step because it has me. So whenever you create a loop, it's going to put you in there. But notice how it does not have the role because you can be a buyer agent or you can be a listing agent. So I am going to write that I am a buyer agent. So what this does by assigning the role is anywhere I have to sign a form, it's going to have my name in there. I just have to hover over it and then accept my signature. So we want to do that. You always want to add your client. So you just hit, again, it's blue interactive on the right-hand side of the screen. And you're always going to add your client. Now, for training purposes, Mary Glavy is she's always my buyer or my seller. And you give her a role. Okay, this is very important, again, because we all know on this paperwork, there's many places where Mary, the buyer, has to sign. But if you do not assign her the role as buyer, it will not assign her name where she needs to sign. Now, when you put that in, it's going to give you all of this information that is required by the state of Massachusetts. We need to have the phone number of the client. Okay, so disregard cell phone, just put the cell phone or landline or phone number here. We are going to need the client's address, and it's broken down because we all know that the property they're selling is not always necessarily the property they're buying. And in this one, these are the buyers. So we're going to put that they live at, let me see. So this is, where does the buyer live? So we're going to put the street name. It has to be broken down by number, street name, city. It's just the way that the system is set up. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to add the person. So now you notice that Mary Glavy is my buyer, and you notice that I am her agent. Now, a lot of people do not want, or they're afraid to put the listing agent's name and email here because they think that they'll be able to see everything in the loop. That is not true. Okay. So the only time that somebody can see everything in your loop is when you add a person and you check off add to my team. You would only check this off if you have a transaction coordinator, or if you're a team leader and you want to see everything that your team is doing. Every time your team creates a loop, they would add you and they would check this so you can see their loops. But if this is the only time, so you never, your clients are never on your team. Your clients are always your clients. Again, the only time you would check this off is if you have a transaction coordinator that needs to see all of your loops, or if you have a team and you would like to see all of your loops, all of your team loops. When they create a loop, they would have to add you, and then they would add you to the team so that you can see them. So now you've done step 2. So step 1 was create the loop. Step 2 was add the people with their roles. Please do not skip this step, because step 3 is dependent on step 2, which is fill out the paperwork and send it to your client. So if we go up here to the paperwork, one other thing too, I just want to go into, you notice that there's 2 folders in here. There's a buyer folder and there's an other important documents folder. If you're like me, you really like a really clean work space. So what I would do is I would go in here. Basically what we've done is anything that you need for a buyer is right here. But just in case there might be that one form that you need, we've put other information down here that you may need, like an extension, okay? What you could do is you just hold on it and bring it, you drag it up. And now you can shrink this. So all you're really looking at is what you need. So all those forms are still here, but you could just shrink it like that. So it gives you a really good, clean workspace. So now we're going to fill out this paperwork. So we're going to go to the mandatory agency disclosure. You just click on it. It's saying, hey, we recognize that Mary Glavy's the buyer and that you're the seller. Do you want us to autofill the paperwork? And we're going to say, yeah, absolutely, autofill the paperwork. So notice if you come down here, it has buyer agent, that's me, and I can sign. But notice how it has Mary. So everywhere the buyer has to sign it, it's going to have her name. So on this form, because we use this form also as a listing agent, please remember to check off which one you represent here, because this could cause this form to be returned to you by the Dotloop team. If you work for Lear, you are always a designated agency. You're never non-designated, so that's why we check that off. And you need to write that you are representing the buyer. If you just click on here and it says sign now, there's my signature. Because I gave myself the role as the buyer agent, it's identifying, it's signing everything. It has my license number, and I am a broker or a salesperson, you check. Now, Dotloop automatically defers to 2 buyers and 2 sellers. So if you only have 1 buyer, all you have to do is click on the other one that doesn't have Mary's name on it. And if you go up to here, you're going to sign to no one. And now when we send this, share this with them, it'll only have 1 place for her to sign. And she is our buyer. And so we're going to save this. We're not going to save and share. We're going to save it because what we want to do is send all of the forms in 1 email. If I hit save and share, it's going to send this in an email. Then it's going to send the exclusive buyer agreement in a separate email. So what we're going to do is we're going to save just this form. We're going to go back to our forms. It says, you didn't share this. Would you like to share it right now? No. And it's going to bring me back to the inside of my loop. And notice how it went from required to not submitted. Okay. So not submitted means you filled it out, but you have not submitted it for review. And so let's just do that one more time. We're going to do the affiliated business agreement. This is a form that's required by Lair right now. We're going to autofill it. And basically down here, you can see where it says Mary to sign. You can click on all of these if you want, and you can you can assign all of these to no one if you like. It's just better because then that way when you send the email, it's only going to have 1 place for your client to sign. So then we're going to save that. Okay, so now we're going to go back. No, we don't want to share it. And now what we're going to do is we are going to share these with our client. So basically they're going to get 1 email with both of these forms in here all ready to sign, where if we filled it out and shared it, they would get two separate emails. I hope everybody understands that. So I just want to tell you, so once you click on it, you're going to see a big blue share button. Remember what I said, 90% of what you do in Dotloop is on the right-hand side of the screen. So we are going to send all of these forms at once to our client. So if you click this and you click all of the forms you want to send, you see the blue share, you are going to share it. This opens up the email system that's built into Dotloop. Now, notice it's already checked off Mary Glavy because it identifies that on those forms we're sending, there is a place for the buyer to sign, and it also picked the option can sign. So it's actually thinking for you. It knows that these are going to the buyer who needs to sign things, so it does this for you. Okay. And so we are going to go into here, which is enter a message. So I would say, hello, Mary, please sign the documents. Looking forward to working with you. Okay, now before you send this, you could always add somebody, maybe your transaction coordinator here, and you can put what the thing is, a view only in those forms, which is what I would do. You don't want anybody touching your forms. You can just avoid this altogether. But before you send it, I always tell people to check this attach as a PDF to the email. Why would I do that? Great question. And the answer is even greater and better, is that it gives your client two ways to sign the documents. They can sign it electronically, or I attach it as a PDF because what if it's an elderly couple and the kids want to read the contracts? Or it's not an elderly couple and everybody just wants their attorney to read everything they send. They can forward that email to their attorney, and because it's attached as a PDF, the attorney can read it. They can't change it because it's a PDF. So the attorney or the children can read it, and then they can go back to the email if they want to and sign electronically. So I always tell people to attach as a PDF because, again, it gives your client two ways to read and receive and to sign the documents. So now we're going to share it. And so now it's saying that these documents were sent and they're waiting for. Now notice how it went from not shared to waiting on others. This is really great if you have a multiple transactions going at the same time and you're like, I can't remember if I sent that document for my client to sign. If you just open up the loop, you could say, oh yeah, I did send it to her. We're waiting on it for her. So, and then you can tell here if you've submitted your loop for review because it says not submitted. So basically that's section one. So you set up, you create the loop, section two is the second step. The first step was create the loop. The second step was to add the people along with their roles. Please, it's imperative that you do not skip step two and you add the role. This is imperative if you want the system to work for you. You add the role, and then three is you fill out the paperwork and you share it with them. So now everything has been sent to your client and we're waiting on them to sign the document. Once they sign the document, you are going to see that it's going to change from waiting on others to it's going to say signed. Now, Mary Glavy, my buyer, is so on the ball. She signed these for us already. So Mary Glavy has signed these documents and we're good to go. So now, one of the questions we get quite often is when should you create the loop in Dotloop? It's a great question. And the answer is even better because if you're a listing agent or buyer agent, you are going to create your loop at the same time. There is paperwork that needs to be signed and filled out prior to any listing going live, or you show your buyer the first property. Agency, mandatory agency license is required, signed before you show your buyer the first house. So the answer to that is you should always create your loop prior to your listing going live on the MLS and showing your property. So again, the answer is create your loop in the very beginning. Now, say we're going forward, they found the house. Great. Mr. and Mrs. John Smith found the house. So remember, I said in order to submit your loop for review, the Dotloop team really wants it done by street address because that's how accounting does everything as well. So how would you change this to the street address? Very good. All you're going to do is just going to go into view details and you're going to see use custom name. Now you could keep Mr. and Mrs. Smith if you want to, right here. You're just going to write that they bought 123 Main Street in East Longmeadow. We do ask that you put the entire address, town, street name, town, city, and zip. Okay, and if you save this, you're going to notice once I hit that save button, it's going to change the name of the loop. There it is. So now you can look up this loop by the name if that's what you're used to, or you can look it up by the street. But this is what we need in order for the Dotloop team to submit your loop for review. So we're going to go over here to our loop. This is it open, and you're going to hit the submit for review. Again, it's blue and it's on the right-hand side. You're going to submit the loop for review. It is missing the property information, okay? This is telling you, this is a pop-up window that says before we can submit your loop for review, there is information required. And so what is it? We need property address information. And we also are going to need the year it's built and the MLS number. Now, a lot of times you think you could start typing in here and it looks like you can until you get to the state. It will not allow you to put in the state. So this is really just a pop-up window. I'm going to tell you where to go. So whenever this pops up and it's telling you we need the property address, you're going to exit out of here and you're going to go to the view details page. And you're going to go down here to where it says property. Okay. Now, if you see the property address all right here that it pulled from the MLS, it's not good enough. It has to be broken down by street number. So the property address they're buying is, what did I say? 123 Main Street. I can't even remember. So we'll just put that in here. What did I say they were buying? 123 Main Street. So you got to put the street number, 123, the street name over here. We don't have a unit. It's in East Longmeadow. And this is where it will allow you to pick the state. We get this question all the time. I can't submit for review because it won't allow me to put in the state. You need to put it under view details. We need the zip code. This is all stuff that this is all information that if the state came in, they're going to look for this. We need the MLS number. This helps accounting. This is so vital that you put the MLS number. You can also put non-MLS in here if you wanted to. You could put non-MLS as well. And we need the year built. So I'm going to make this 1990 so we don't need lead paint. And now you're going to make sure you hit save and you can hit submit for review. Still asking, we need information. What does it need? Okay, it needs Mary's phone number. We never put in our buyer client's phone number. So again, you're going to go and you're going to find your buyer I'm still under the view details tab. You find Mary Glavy right here, my buyer, and you're going to hit the edit button. And we're going to put her cell phone right here, even if it's a landline. So the phone number goes here. Please discontinue cell phone here. This is the phone we need. You're going to save that. And now you're going to hit the submit for review again. What are we missing now? What are we missing? We are still missing something. I thought I put in that year built, but maybe I didn't. So maybe I didn't save it. So let's go back to the property. Let's see. I'm going to put an MLS number in here. Let me save this. All right, submit for review. I don't know why it's doing this. Let's take a look. Property. I am putting that in. I have no idea why this is giving me a hard time. So let's go back here. 123. This is the property address, Main Street. I have it in there. I have the zip code. I have a number. I have the year built. So I'm not sure why this is doing that. Let me take a look here. Let me see if it's under Mary, if we're missing any information for Mary. I have her number here. I don't think so. I don't know why it's doing this. Add a year built MLS number. Okay. I just put it in there. I'm not quite sure why you're supposed to do it in view details. I know they're doing revamping Dotloop, so I'm not quite sure why it was doing that, but just to move forward, we're going to move forward. So select what it's asking you now is in your loop, you have two folders. Remember, we have the buyer folder and we have the other important documents folder. Remember, we moved everything from this folder into this folder. So we want the Dotloop team just to review the buyer folder. And we are going to say it's a buyer review and we're going to submit that. Now, it's saying that the offer is a required document. So that's something you cannot submit without it. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload an offer. And we're going to add an offer. I'm going to browse my computer. So I'm going to go to, I want to go to my emails. Let me see. So I have an offer right here that Peter sent me. Okay. So I am going to pretend I have this. I'm going to download this offer. And then I'm going to upload it into this loop. So how do you do that? You're just going to browse, you're going to go to downloads, and there's the offer. You're just going to add it. So that's a way. Now, because this is required, it won't let you submit for review without it. So what you need to do is you need to take the signed one. We'll pretend that this was signed by the seller signed it and the listing agent sent it to you. You're going to take and you're going to drag this over the one that says required. It's going to say replace with offer, and it's going to give you a warning. You're about to replace offer to contract with this. You're going to say yes. So now it's satisfied that requirement. And now you can submit the loop for review. We're going to say buyer folder, and we're going to do a buyer review. And there we are. So now this has been changed to submitted. Okay, you have 3 or 4 transactions going on in the same month, and you can't remember if you submitted the loop for review. This is what's so great about it. If you just open this up, you go, oh, I submitted it. We're fine. If it said not submitted, that means you have not sent it to the Dotloop team that is going to approve your loops. So I just want to stop there in case there's any questions right now. So that's how you submit your loop for review. Remember, the most important thing to remember in this is the view details tab. That's where you're going to add all that information that's needed. And then you're going to hit the submit the loop for review. So that's section 2 of our training. Now we're going to go into section 3, which is my favorite, which is all the little tips and tricks. This is my favorite section because this is where we get a lot of questions in Happy Agent. So I want to go over how to add a folder. Now, you may be a listing agent and you have buyers that might be interested in your listing property. What I would highly suggest is you don't have to make a separate loop with your buyer's name on it. You can just, on the right-hand side, the blue interactive field, you're going to add this, put your cursor here, and you're going to name it a buyer folder. So you just put your cursor there. We're going to name this. And you click off the screen. And now you have a buyer folder in here. And this would be listing if it was a listing. Okay, so you can rename stuff. So let's just rename that. We're going to rename this the listing folder. And you just click off the screen. So now you have a buyer folder and you have a listing folder. Again, you can rename any of the folders just on the right-hand side with the 3 dots. You're going to go over here and it says rename. Okay. But you may want to do something that says backup offers. So I added, again, add folder, and I'm going to put this in here and write backup offers. This makes everything so neat and clean. And so you can maybe got this offer and you're not accepting Peter's offer. You could drag this into the folder that says backup offers. Okay. So if I'm not going to receive this Peter's offer, I'm going to take this and drag it up and put it in backup offers. And it went to this one. I need to go here. Let's take a look. Why that's not going here. There. So now it's back in backup offers. Okay. So I have backup offers, I have folders, I have listing folders. So I wanted to show you that you can make different folders inside the loop to make it very neat and clean. Okay. Another way I want to show you is how to add documents. I did show you one way, which everybody knows how to upload a PDF, but I want to show you how to add. There's 3 options here. You can add documents to your loop. Okay, one is this template. This one is this is where all of our interactive over 3,000 forms are. So if you click templates, it's going to bring you into the template section. And of course, you're going to go to the Massachusetts layer master file. Obviously, if it's New Hampshire, you're going to go to New Hampshire. And if it's Connecticut, you're going to go to Connecticut. And if it's Rhode Island, you're going to go to Rhode Island, because we separated all these. Because why would you want to filter through New Hampshire forms if this property isn't in New Hampshire? So we're going to pick Massachusetts. Now you can look at it and scroll. There's thousands and thousands of MAR forms in here, or you can search it by typing in extension of time. You can put it in like that. If you know the MAR number of you can put in the MAR form. Maybe it's a 508. A lot of people don't know the MAR forms, but that's Title 5. And so we're going to add this one. So you can look it up by the MAR number, or you can just start typing in what you think it is, and you're going to copy. You got to check it off, and then you're going to copy that into your loop. So now this is added it to my backup offers because that's where I was in here when I said add a document. If I wanted it in buyer folders, I would do it here. Okay, so this is where all of your templates are, interactive forms. Okay, we've already shown how you do this. You're just going to hit browse and you're going to browse where you have downloaded it on your computer and you're going to put it here. That section there, when you're adding something, can only be PDFs, no photos. Okay, a lot of agents are taking photos now. You really shouldn't. That's not professional. Everything should be done in PDF. It will not upload a photo. Please be the professional that you are and upload PDFs. Then it gives you this option here, which is my favorite option. Every time you create a loop, each loop you create has an email address that will drop PDFs directly into this loop from your email. So how do you do that? I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to open this up. Here's the email address that will drop any PDF into this loop directly. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to this email right here that Peter Marino sent me. It says offer from Peter Marino. You can see there's the PDF right there. And I am going to forward this email and I'm going to paste that link. So what is this going to do? It's not going to take the entire email from Peter. It's going to just download the PDF that was attached to this email into my loop. So I'm going to send this, and you will see that when we come over here under buyer folder, it does take a little bit of time, but I'm going to refresh the page There it is. Notice how it took that PDF that was in the email and dropped it directly into the folder of my wishes. Now, a lot of people get duplicate loops. Okay. What does that mean? Okay. You're a listing agent. You create the loop. You have a buyer agent that sends you an offer through Dotloop, and they attach the offer as a PDF. You get it in your email and you want to see if that offer is any good. So what do? You open up the PDF, or you use the Dotloop link, and you open it up because you want to look at the offer. What happens is now you've just created a loop that's your loop, the listing agent's loop that says 23 Main Street, and the buyer agent's loop that says 23 Main Street. So now you have duplicate loops. You have yours and you have the buyers. So we always, always, always work out of your own loop. Never, 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 never work out of the other agent's loops. This is your paperwork. This is your responsibility. Remember, old car, you have responsibility, fiduciary responsibility to your client. Confidentiality is one of them. And so you always want to work out of your own loop. If you do that, you can archive the wrong loop. So you want to do that. But a way of eliminating that is if you add a document and use the email, which I love this. Love, 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 love this. So I'm going to just pause to see if anybody has any questions. I don't see anything in the chat. So I want to show you, because this is one of the biggest reasons why loops are not approved, is because the lead paint. People put in signatures or initials, and we can't read, the Dotloop team can't read where those initials are. So let's just upload we're going to go into this. I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to go in here to the, we want to go to the mass forms, and we're going to just put property. We have property transfer notifications. So we're going to check that off, and we're going to put it here. Now, we're going to find the prosper. If you open it up, you can then fill it in for this is the buyer. Now, again, we cannot do this. You should never, never, ever, ever have a buyer sign, initial a lead paint that hasn't been first filled out by the sellers. That is a major no-no. So basically, the agent has to fill this document out. And you should always post the entire brochure on the MLS, because the last page says you've given him this brochure. So you're going to ask your client, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you know if there's lead paint? No, I don't know. Seller has no knowledge. Seller has no reports. You're going to initial this as the listing agent. It put it here because I'm a buyer agent. And then what you're going to do is your signature down here. Make sure you're putting in the complete address down here. It has to be the complete address with city and state. It will be rejected if it doesn't have the zip code, city, and state. Okay, so you're going to save that. That's if you were filling this out. I'm going to download this as a PDF because I want to show you, if you're a buyer agent, how to shrink the check boxes so client can fill them out. So we're going to add a document. I downloaded this as a PDF, and there it is. I'm going to add it. And now I'm going to open this up as a PDF. And now you're going to go to the last page. Remember, again, please upload this to your MLS listing because it says you gave them this brochure. So now here's what the seller filled out. And now you need to add your client's initials to. Notice see how big it's covering? It looks like it's covering D and E. And so what you do is you place it there, and then you get this 2 arrows like that, and you can definitely just hold, and now you can assign it to Mary Glavy to sign there. So let's do that again. You're going to go to add initials. And maybe there's 2 people, but we know. So you got it. And you're going to get that double arrow. And you're going to get that. And you're going to assign that to Mary Glavy. And you're going to do it one more time, because we all know that if a seller does not have knowledge and there's no paperwork, that both D, E, and F all need to be signed by our buyer. And then you need to put a check mark. You need to put a check box. Are they waiving it, or are they going to have their, and you can check that off for them. You can check that off for your client. And then you can add a signature down here for your buyer, purchaser, right here. Again, assign to Mary Glavy. And then you can save and share that. Notice how it has to your buyer, and it says that they can sign. So I'm going to share that with her, and it's done. So that's important, because that's one of the biggest reasons why the Dotloop team does not approve your loop, is because they can't read the signatures. They can't read those initials. Okay. So I always like to tell people how to shrink anything like that. And we're going to go over that. So I'll just pause. I don't see any questions. Let's see who's on the call. We have Mary Glavy, Tula. Angela is here. Welcome, Angela. Just want to pause to see if anybody has any questions there. So here's a good question that we get quite often is, when should you submit a loop for review? Again, the reason I love Dotloop is it's the same answer if you're the listing agent or the buyer agent. You want to submit your loop for review after purchase and sale and all deposit monies have been sent in. So you're saying, well, that's not going to close for 3 weeks. Well, what happens is you're alerting the Dotloop team, hey, I'm going to have a closing in 3 weeks. Can you start making sure I have everything I need? Because it's a lot easier to get a signature from your client before closing than try to trace them down after the closing. So if you have purchase and sale and all, you have earnest money deposit and purchase and sale deposit, and you've passed inspections. So if you're a buyer agent, once you've passed inspections, because we all know that's pretty much where if something's going to fall apart, it's going to be there. After you've passed that, you want to submit your loop for review, because again, it gives the Dotloop team. Now we have an excellent Dotloop team. They're excellent at reviewing loops, but you have to think about this. We have a team of 1, 2, 3 people that approve all the loops for over 800 agents. It's a lot of loops to approve. So we do ask our agents that, again, after you've got purchase and sale and all of your deposit money is in and inspections are done, to submit the loop review. They will communicate to you through this built-in email system, and I want to show you where that is. You're just going to go right here once you have the loop open. Okay, remember, this is the folder open, and you're seeing all of your clients' information. If you want to send a message to anybody, this is how you get into the built-in messaging system. Now, I'm just going to show you something, because I want to go down to the people section down here, and I want to add I'm going to add the listing agent. So I'm going to add the listing agent. I'm going to add him as the listing agent. I'm adding him in here. Okay, so now I have that. Now, if I want to go over here to the message, you're going to see that not only do I have my buyer here, I also have the listing agent. So you know who you're emailing, who's ever in blue, that is who you're sending. Okay, so if I want to say, hello, Peter, please have seller sign extension. And then you're just going to send it to them right there. And that's going to go to Peter. And if you click on it, you're going to see, like, this has all of the emails that I've sent Mary, my client. Now, if you hit this new note, I love this, because this is going to have everybody who's on it. Now, a lot of these are admins, so that's why they're on here. But here's the Dotloop team too. Okay, so Dotloop team 1, Dotloop team 2. we have admins in here. But if you wanted to, maybe you have a transaction coordinator that you have added to the people section and you want to email her, she would be in there as well. So this is how you access the email system that's in Dotloop. The reason I like Dotloop is because number one, literally, if you're traveling and you can get into Dotloop, you have access to all of your forms, email system, all of your contact information. Really, you just need to know your password to Dotloop, and you're pretty good to go. Just want to know, this is because I'm an admin, it's giving me this. You will not have this. This is just they're testing a beta experience. They're revamping some stuff in Dotloop, so you would not have that. So I just want to pause there in case anybody has any questions on that. So again, I want to show you something else. Now, sometimes the loan officer will want to know. I'm just going to reload this because I want to show you something. Oh, Mary has not filled this in my lead paint yet, but I wanted to show you that. But sometimes the lender wants to see, it's called verification, document verification, signature verification. They may want something. So if you go to the document that they signed, if you go to these three dots, again, it's on the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see where it says signature verification. These are your options. You can open up this document. You can rename this document. You can make a copy of it, put it into another loop. You can see the history on it. You can print it. You can download it. So if I hit signature verification, it's going to show me. Now, this is why a lot of government agencies, attorneys are accepting this, because it is such a vetting process of proving that Mary, the day she signed, has her name, has the date and time she signed it, has the ID, has her IP address, security level, email verified, accept and view agreement. So this, you can print this, you can view it, you can view the agreement, you can send this to who's ever asking for it by because it's in there, because you have it in your loop. Another way of obtaining that document is if you actually open up the signed document. Now it has to be signed. If I went to go open up one of these, it wouldn't give me that option. But the easiest way is to do three dots here. But if you open up the document that is signed, you'll see it up here as well. In the very top of the document, it'll give you that. Okay. So that's how you can get that. The coast to coast, you'll probably want to know that. That's very important for you, is where to get verification, certificate of verification of signature. And so that gives you three options to do that. You can actually find it on the loop itself, on the document, or if you just go over to the three dots over here. So another reason why I want to go back, why we love Dotloop. So this is your dashboard, okay? Now you notice that I have my filters off. So it's showing me every single loop that I ever made in this training folder. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on forever, okay? So you're going to see terminated loops. You're going to see active loops. You're going to see sold loops. You're going to see under agreement loops. You're going to see, let's see, what else do we have here? You're going to see new. Status is new. So if you're like me, you want a very clean slate, you go to the filters and you're going to check off, I really only want to see my actives and my under agreements. If you check those off and you apply, what it's going to do now, it's only going to show you your under agreement and your active. It's not going to show you archived. It's not going to show you pre-listing. It's not going to show you anything. That's why it's very, very extremely important that anytime you create a loop, you make sure you put the status, and you should always change the status. So if you have an active listing, it's first going to be active listing. And when it goes under agreement, you're going to want to change it to under agreement, and you're going to want to put the sale price in. So the status is very important. So notice now it's only going to have my under agreements, and my active listings. You're not going to see terminated. You're not going to see archive. You're not going to even see sold. So I really like this filter. Say it's the end of the year. I mean, the end of the year or the beginning of the year, and you want to send to all of your clients for the whole year a season greetings, or maybe it's the beginning of the year and you want to say, what does the market look like for 2024? It's very easy. You're just going to hit the filter section and you're going to unclick, and you're only going to check off anything that you sold or leased. Okay, and you apply those. Now it's only going to show me my sold, and it's showing the one that was the created the latest. So if you go down here, so basically these say 2022, and it's going to go down. This says, see, this one says June, this one says April, but you can even filter that as well, because I have it by sorting by creation date by my most recent to my oldest, but it gives you options. You can sort by last updated, you could sort by transaction price, you could sort by listed date, expiration date, closing date. This might be one because it's going to give you your closing dates. But again, I only showing my solds, so I want to uncheck that, and I want to just put my actives and my under agreement. Make sure you also hit the apply button. And now it's going to list everything by the closing date. Again, you're going to need to put in the closing date under agreements. So if you open this up, it's giving you a closing date, and it's also giving you what it's sold for. Why is that important? That's extremely important because if you hit this activity log, if you hit this, if you hit the loop reporting, it's going to give you a report. Now, again, this is my training video, so let me go to an office video. Let me just go to East Longmeadow office. And if I hit my reporting for East Longmeadow, it's going to show me everything for the year that has been completed, what's under agreement, what fell through, and what's starting. Okay, so this is a very handy tool if you want to see how your business is over the year progressing. And it only works, though, as good as the information you input. So in your loop, it's very important when you create the loop that you are filling out the status. Where is the status on this? We are now under agreement. We're going to put in the purchase price at $750,000. And we're going to put the closing date. It's going to close in December. And then this reporting is going to really help you to see where your business is, where you are. So, but again, it's only as good as the information you put in on your loops. So you're going to want to, once you have your loop open, you want to make sure these are all filled in. The status, very important, is the status. Now, I want to show you something that another reason why attorneys are accepting this is because we have this thing called activity log. So if you open up the loop and you hit activity log, it's going to say everything that we did in this loop. It's going to timestamp it. It's going to give you the date. It's going to tell you exactly. It says Lisa Perruccio, the admin, changed the loop status from pre-offer to under agreement. It's saying I viewed this. So this is really good if you sent a client something and you don't even know if they opened it. You could go here and say, okay, she opened it, but she didn't sign it. So I can email her and say, could I see that you read it? Do you have any questions? Or can you please sign? So this is a valuable tool, is the view details. So again, you have to have the folder open and then you'll have the view details. If you're in the main dashboard where you're seeing all of your properties, so this is like having your folders closed and you're only seeing the outside of the address. If you hit here activity log, it's going to give you the activity log for every single loop that you have open. Okay, it's not the individual loop. You have to have that open if you want to see activity logs just for that loop. If you want to see just in general how all of your loops are doing, you would go to your dashboard and you would hit the activity log. This is going to show you everything for all of these loops. If you want to just see this particular loop here, you're going to open up the loop and then hit activity log, and that'll give you the activity log just for this loop. We do have a question. Let's see what we got here. Is there a way to delete a loop? Okay, great question, Jessica. Thank you for that. It's a safety guard. They do not, you can never delete a loop, but what you can do and what they suggest is, and that's a safeguard, it's a safety guard for you guys. You can always archive a loop. You have options. So if you go to your status here, let me go to one here. We're going to open this up. You can always, under agreement, so if you open up a loop, say this fell through, you can terminate or you can archive a loop. So say you had a buyer, the market was just too crazy for them, they wanted to get out. So what I would suggest is you terminate the loop or you can archive it. You never, never, never want to change a transaction that's went all the way. So you got the listing, it went under agreement, and you sold it. A sold property will always stay sold because just in case you do want to send your clients, anybody that bought with you for the year, you maybe want to send a birthday reminder. Maybe you want to do an end of the year holiday greeting cards, or maybe you want to do the beginning of year what 2024 looks like in the real estate market. So your solds are always going to say sold. But what you could do is you can always either terminate or archive. Those are things that fell apart. So it's actually a safety guide for you. Once you create a loop, there's no way of deleting a loop totally, which you don't really want to do that anyways. So great question. I hope, Jessica, I answered your question. I am open. We're down to like our last 4 minutes. So I love any questions whatsoever. I like to go over the people section. Here is where you would add your contacts. And once you add contacts in here, it's always in here. I have a hard name. People have a hard name. How to spell Perruccio. If you put in a client's name under there, you will always have it there. Same thing with attorneys. If you work with people like attorneys all the time, or your lenders all the time, I would add them in here. And again, you can even put them under the categories of what you want. As an agent, you could fill this up. If you have like home inspectors that you want to send, you can add home inspectors information in here and you can email this list to your clients. So I like to go over that really quick too. So that's under the people section. This is the people section. This is your templates. This here is, if you go, this is you, and if you go to my account, this is where you could put in your, under your profile, you want to put in under your profile your license number. You will never have to add your license number again if you put it under your all of this information that you work for Lair. You could upload your picture like I just did. Account settings is where you would have, let me see. Oh, I know why, because this is my training. Let me go to my training one. I'm going to go back to my training. Let me see. Hold on one second. Let me go to my training. What the heck is that? Just want to go into my training, but I can't find it. You're not going to have all these drop downs. It's because I am an admin, a master admin for Lair. But if you go into here and you go and you hit my account, that's where you're going to fill in all this information. You'll never have to fill in your title again. And this is also under profiles, is where you add associations. See, notice how it has my license number here. So if you put that in once, everywhere your license needs your license number, it'll automatically, you don't have to remember that anymore. So as you can tell, my battery is dying. It's giving me, but we are actually 1 minute out. I just want to thank you all for joining me for the Dotloop training. We do this twice a month. So I am scheduled again to do this in December. Please go to Layer Agent Services. You're going to go under events and you're going to register. Also, please take the other trainings. Len and Sergio do great, and Ashley do wonderful trainings every Tuesday and Thursday between 12:30 and 1:30. If you start using Dotloop and you have questions, just send your questions to to Happy Agent at layerrealty.com. They will assign that to me and I'll reach out to you. But until then, until next time, happy looping. This is Lisa Perruccio. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.